This is PopX Cast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're a geek podcast for geek culture, so are you ready to get your geek on? Sit back, relax, step out of your TARDIS and warm up your chimichangas because this is PopX Cast.
I'm Keir from Gallifrey Public Radio, a Doctor Who fandom podcast and part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows in the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
You are listening to PopX Cast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
PopX Cast.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hey guys, and welcome to PopX Cast, where science fiction meets pop culture. I am Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart, and I want to remind you guys that you need to head over to Google Play or iTunes after the show and click that subscribe button. Catch up on some amazing shows from the PopX archive, and while you're there, we would appreciate you guys showing us some love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review. I am not alone today because I'm joined, first off, by Lindsay Badger. Lindsay, how you doing?
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Yes, I am Lindsay Badger, your favorite geeky okie, ready to hang out and throw down some more geeky goodness, if I can get it out of my mouth.
Joseph's here. What's up, Joe?
Joe's here too.
I just realized that my microphone was on mute going out on the Facebook Live. So it is so good. Oh my gosh, this is so cool to see you guys. As you can tell, I've got the Infinity Gauntlet out. We're ready to roll. It's Avengers Endgame. Dude, we're ready to kick some butt and take some names here on PopX Cast tonight. So, and you know what? Let me just say this. I'm just so very thankful and blessed that I get to do Team PopX with this amazing group of people. Austin Burke, my cousin. I like to call him my brother from another mother, but you know what I'm saying. He's actually my cousin technically, but he could be my brother. And then my sister in Oklahoma, my Okie Gokie sis. How you doing, sis? It's good to see you.
I'm doing great. You know what? Facebook is fired up tonight, you guys. Everybody,
well, tell Facebook to come to Get Vocal.
This is going to be a party.
It's going to be a party, and you know what? And let me just show this right quick. If you guys want to be a part of the live conversation, I know Facebook Live's going on right now as well, but also headquarters for this is at getvocal.com. That's GETVOKL.com. When you go there, you'll see right on the front page. You'll see right on that front page that hey, there's the Infinity War. Let's go check it out. All right. As you can tell, I'm really excited. I need to calm down. Oh my God, here we go.
We're gonna have to go fast. We're gonna stumble over things because we're like, oh my God, there's so many things.
I'm your host, Joseph Burke, Central Florida seasoned comic book nerd and retro enthusiast. Now, we'd like to welcome everyone joining us live here in the PopX.live chat room. Now, come hang out with us and join the conversation at popxcast.com. Now, if this is your first time tuning into PopX, for the first 20 minutes, we kind of run down through some headlines. So don't worry. We're not going to throw up that spoiler alert warning just yet. So you got some time. We're going to do some geek headlines. So sit your horses down. So we just run through it, talk about some fun stuff that's happened in the past couple of weeks, and then we get right on into our show around the halfway mark. So around 9:25, 9:30, we're going to roll that spoiler alert warning, and that's going to be if you've not seen Avengers Endgame, or you just really don't care. Just saying.
I think later we're going to open up the seats.
Yeah.
Well, it's unlocked right now. But we're going to lock it for now at the beginning of the show, but later we may unlock it.
Correct.
And let some people come in.
Yeah. So the last 10 minutes, if you're on Facebook and you're watching this live and you want to like, oh my gosh, I want to share something they haven't even talked about, come join us here and Get Vocal. You'll be right on cam with us.
Just get all geeky.
And I also want to say, too, if you missed episode 92 Shazam review and more, check out our official website, popxcast.com, for this and other great past shows from the PopX's collective archive. Now, before we get started into news, How has your week been, guys? How have you been doing?
Well, glory and goodness.
Survived. It's been rough.
What happened?
I know, Joe, you watched the movie several times, but let's see. Saturday, I took my Saturday was Endgame. Immediately followed Sunday by Game of Thrones' most epic episode of all time.
Oh, no.
I have been. My emotions have been torn, shredded,
You've been
inflated again, beat back down. It's been the most crazy, insane roller coaster that I just needed to take a nap on Monday.
Take a nap?
All day.
You needed to chill, huh?
To recover.
Well, if you're wondering, I'm glad you brought that up. If you're wondering why PopX didn't go through on our show on Sunday night, it's because we wanted to give some homage. And thanks for Lindsay Badger for putting that on my radar. This past weekend on Game of Thrones was an epic 80-minute show, and it was just like all kinds of crazy stuff happened.
Like one of the biggest, most epic shows of entertainment history.
You know, we kind of wanted to honor that because Game of Thrones is part of the geek culture. It's part of who we are as PopX. And I was like, I'm not going to be like putting people like, I don't want to miss PopX, but I want to watch my show. And it's okay. Tuesday night, we got you covered. It's all good. You guys ready to get some geeky headlines going?
Oh, please.
Are you guys ready for some PopX news headlines?
Roll it.
All right, here we go.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live right here on PopXCast.com.
All right.
Well, awesome. I get to kick off the news first this week, you guys. I'm so excited, and it is so fun. This little news snippet is announcing Free Comic Book Day. How many people here have been to Free Comic Book Day? Raise your hands.
Here, I'm just gonna hold that up. It looks really cool.
If you have never experienced this, I strongly recommend it. Okay, so May 4th, that's right, May the 4th be with you. This Saturday is Free Comic Book Day at your local comic book store. It happens nationwide. So I'm not sure internationally if they participate in this, but I know at least in the United States they do. You can go check your local listings for your local comic book store at freecomicbookday.com. And you can see all of the comics that are listed as being free. And I know my local comic book store, Joe's also, I'm sure Austin's does as well, and some others across the nation go above and beyond for this day. This is like the Christmas of comic books. They have people dressed up as superheroes. My local thing has like bouncy houses and face painting.
Wait, stop. You got bounce houses?
We do. You should come sometime.
Great Scott, Marty.
I know. It's so much fun. Ours goes a little over the top, which I think is thrilling because it's a fantastic family event. Kids love it.
That's cool.
I'm planning on showing up like straight up at 9:00 when they open because they have a Stranger Things free comic book. Just throwing that out there.
Me and Austin can't be contained tonight.
No.
You guys have a favorite one that you're going to try to snab this weekend?
Well, yeah, I'm going to definitely try to get that Stranger Things one. Definitely really looking forward to that one because I have the 4-part series that came out this past year. So I'm pretty excited about that. And Austin, do you realize the last year's Free Comic Book Day, do you know where you were?
Oh, dude. Yeah, that was so much. There's no way I can duplicate that experience because it's not the same. But I'm definitely going for some free. The Stranger Things, same here.
Yeah.
It's the most interesting to me because that's a show that you just don't associate with comics. But when it comes in comic book form, it's like, okay, 2 of my favorite things. So that gets me really excited.
And I also want to say, too, right quick, it is available at some select libraries. So if you don't have a comic book store near you, you might want to check your local library. Ours, particularly here, not only do we have it in 2 comic book shops here in Claremont, but we also our public library.
Do they have it listed on the website as well?
So they will probably have it listed. Yeah, most definitely. So if you have a pretty decent sized library in your town, you might want to check that out.
Yeah, one more time, that is freecomicbookday.com, so you can find out all the information for your local area, and I strongly suggest
it's a fun event. And there's cosplayers out. Take your kids, have some pictures with stormtroopers. It's going to be freaking awesome. So It all
We
kicks
can
off
have a Jedi
the
Academy,
morning
you guys, like
of May the
Disneyland.
4th. All right, so kicking on with the news here. Despite rumors that the DC Universe original series Swamp Thing is in troubled waters, the first trailer for the project certainly doesn't give fans any cause for concern. Now, DC and Warner Brothers TV revealed the debut trailer on Tuesday morning, and it delivers all the chills and the thrills that those who have been reading Swamp Thing for some time have come to expect. Now, unlike the Titans and Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing will be more of a straight-up horror series, staying true to the original tone of the comics. Now, Austin, did you see Swamp Thing trailer?
I did, and the way that we have went so far with Titans, which I liked, but Doom Patrol, I believe, is one of the most faithful comic book adaptation television shows I've ever seen. So the fact that they're going to play it straightforward with Swamp Thing, and the trailer was just like, how could this be?
The
in
red
any
eyes,
kind of
dude.
trouble?
The red eyes. Straight out
I
of
have
it.
to see this series.
Oh my God.
I have to. So DC, don't let this slip through your fingers because it looks awesome.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's the first time that we've cinematically seen Swamp Thing. I know what it is since the 90s television show.
Yeah.
So we've not seen an updated costume. Now, I want to say this is not a CGI costume.
Yeah.
This is a straight-up horror movie makeup costume.
Nice.
And this is not CGI. I mean, I'm sure some scenes might be CGI in battles.
Yeah.
But on the close-ups and everything, on the actor, straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up
It's-
So
makeup.
it doesn't look
prosthetics
like one of the swamp monsters from Scooby-Doo. It's going to be a little more legit.
Yeah, I think,
All right.
I think they're going to do a little bit of CGI every now and then, but the close-ups, like you said, I mean, think of Jurassic Park when you're far away, CGI when you're close up, prosthetics. That's what we want with Swamp Thing, because it's
indeed.
just the way he is. Yeah.
All right, Austin, you got some pretty big numbers to share with us this week, and I give you the honors of doing it, so go for it.
Drop it on us, dude.
Well, this will be the last time that I ever say anything that resembles this, because it's never going to happen again. But Earthlings, take note. In just 6 days of overall release, not even in the United States, because it's only been out like 4 days, Avengers Endgame has grossed $1.3 billion, and it's already the 10th highest grossing movie of all time on planet Earth. It will likely end up passing a few other big-time Marvel movies on its way up the list, including Black Panther at $1.34 billion, Avengers Age of Ultron at $1.4 billion, and The Avengers at $1.5 billion. Those top 4 movies are going to be a challenge, but we imagine it will pass the first 2 movies with ease. Avengers Infinity War sits at number 4 with $2.48 billion, while Star Wars The Force Awakens sits at 3 with $2.06 billion. Titanic, number 2. How is that still number 2? With $2.1 billion, while Avatar is still, to this day, number 1 with $2.78. That is a big margin, billion dollars. Now, we have a feeling that Endgame could ultimately end up at number 2 when it's all said and done, but catching Avatar will be a challenge even for Endgame. So here are my thoughts real quick. Endgame, for me, it always felt like a front-loaded movie, so it's going to make a lot of its money in the first 2 weeks, and that's going to really tell how the holdup is going to be for the next few weeks, because we have movies like Detective Pikachu and John Wick, movies that can take away money, but to break records, not just by 10 million, not just by 40 million, by $100 million domestically, that's not just front-loaded. That is a movie that people are going back to see multiple times. Joe, like you said, you've seen it multiple times. I'm going to see it multiple times. If there's ever a movie that's going to have a chance of catching Avatar, which has a ridiculous amount of money at number 1, I think this is the film that will have the best chance in the history of movies, because we've never seen anything like it. We will never see anything like it again, and it's an impossible task, it seems like, but I think
Let me interject one thought, Austin, that you probably haven't even really thought about. All right, so first weekend, it's the crazy weekend. Most people skipped the first weekend so they could go and see it the second weekend because of the chaos, because they couldn't get
The
tickets.
headlines really
Now,
blew that
we
out of
could see that
proportion.
number. I don't want to say maybe double, but I want to say maybe a third, 3/4 of the way of that money coming in, and this weekend ahead.
Yes,
it could. I mean, it's insane what's happening, and I know this from perspective because a lot of guys that are involved in my circles have said, "Well, I can't go this week because I couldn't get a ticket," or "I'm just going to wait until everything hustles down and then I'm going to go catch it next weekend." I've heard that. I can't tell you how many times. That being said, this thing could. I don't want to say it may not trump Avatar because 2.7. Come on, dude, that's a ridiculous amount of money.
Ridiculous.
But it'll get close, and I think that they're on. I think the statistics here from comicbook.com are pretty on point. I think it may hit that number 2 spot.
Anything less than a 50% drop this weekend, because a 70% drop would make it the number 1 second weekend of all time.
It did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything less than a 50% drop in weekend 2, I think it passes Avatar.
Yeah.
No, there's no way it doesn't at that point.
That's
But
insane, dude.
these numbers, guys, we've never seen anything like these numbers. It is ridiculous, and it's well deserved. And that
For comic
A+
book
cinema
movies.
score for a comic book movie too. But that's going to be what
Might I say, it's a 22 film series. This is the culmination of a legacy of 11 years.
There was a lot of build-up.
There's quite a bit of build-up.
and a lot of the movies were good.
Decade of build-up.
All right, Lindsay Badger,
I
you're
felt
up.
it too. Oh, it was so good. All right. Well, after 5 wonderful seasons, Thursday night's episode of Gotham brought the series to a close. You know, I didn't watch the last
I didn't
season,
get the
but
chance to.
I really need to watch it.
Ditto.
Fans have been waiting for this episode since the series began, and as it was supposed to bring the origin story full circle and introduced Bruce Wayne as Batman. Man,
Go down to Joker. This
brought
is
that out, didn't they?
it's Joker.
Fortunately for every viewer out there, that's exactly what the show did, and it was highly publicized over the last couple of months that Gotham's finale would include the fully realized Batman, complete with his suit, cape, and cowl. However, what we didn't know exactly how the series would bring the Dark Knight to life. Well, it was a bit like Jaws, where you feel the presence of the character long before you actually see his face. And when he does appear, Batman looks fantastic.
He looked great.
That's a great way to go out.
I did see the last 10 minutes of the final episode because I mean I'm half a season back right now, and I've just got so much going on I can't catch up. To be honest with you, I'm so backlogged right now on stuff I need to watch.
Too much.
But that cape and cowl looked like it was right out of the video game Arkham Asylum.
Yes.
I was extremely proud. That Batman logo on that chest, that was a definite nod to Rocksteady Games.
Oh my God.
That was a huge nod to Rocksteady. Wasn't a fan of the Joker prosthetic mask. It kind of looked like Joker kind of got flushed down the toilet a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I mean, the series overall was just fantastic.
Zombie Joker, maybe?
Yeah, he was a little over the top.
Yeah, Joker was a little
Joker was a
strange,
weird. He
but-
had the little shred of hair coming out, you know. It's just like, we'll call that one Sewer Joker. Just to be.
Sewer Joker.
Oh man, that's funny. Lindsay Badger, what's going on over on Facebook Live? Anybody chiming in on these?
No, because they're all over here hanging out with us.
Nice. 10-4.
Nice.
All right,
But if
so
there are people, well, there's nothing commenting. If you are over on Facebook, you can join us over here on Get Vocal. The link is pinned in the chat box. You are welcome to come over and say hello,
indeed.
or just say hello in the comments, and I'll read it.
All right, so yeah, I get to share this one, and I'm kind of actually happy. Mr. Sean Hockney, what's up, my friend? Good to see you, buddy. One of our faithful listeners here, Sean. We let's all just give our hands up to Sean right now. He's been here every episode almost for the past 50 episodes, dude.
That's crazy.
Dude is a man beast. All right, so Sony has released details of the new PlayStation 5.
Ooh.
Oh my God. Yeah. And the speculation right now is that it may release during the holiday season of 2020 next year. Now, a price point appealing to the games around $400. It'll contain a third-generation AMD chip and a GPU that's a variation of Radeon's Navi series. And it will also support ray tracing. Now, ray tracing, that's a feature that's often marketed as a valued feature on a PC platform. Ray tracing has not yet been supported in the console, but it'll also support, get this, 8K graphics.
Good Lord.
8K video gaming. And it will still be able to have all the physical discs and stuff, but it's going to be more of a virtual download system. Another huge feature for the console is that it'll come with a solid-state SSD drive, which means it will boot up almost instantly. And the option which PC players have had access to for years, but one that's only been an option for console players if they purchase an external device on their own. Aside from providing more storage in an external drive, using an SSD has been known to dramatically reduce load times for video game players.
No more load time.
No more load time. No. So
And
let's stop here for a
depending on
second. So 8K video gaming. Let's talk about that. Now I'm a PS4. I'm an avid PlayStation guy. I've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And probably when this thing drops, I will be the one to go ahead and purchase the PlayStation 5. I don't have an 8K TV yet. I do have a 4K TV. But I'm just really excited because this is the next generation. Solid state. They're doing more virtual graphic card drivers and just updating overall. I mean, it's like light years ahead of where the PS4 could even go. Having said that, with 8K, that means that the game size, the games themselves will go from our standard, what is right now, 45 to 60 gigs per game to 120 gigs to 240 gigs per game.
Huge.
All right.
Huge.
So here's what I'm saying is, what does that mean for a gamer right now? Well, if you've been playing Call of Duty Blackout, which I'm a huge fan of, open world maps is like become the new thing because they couldn't do that on the PS3. And so you think about open worlds, in PS3 you would have to go through a door to access the next level. You see what I'm saying? But in PS4, you have so much more that you can do. Now with PS5, it will be like you can navigate planet Earth and not just one island. If you can imagine the concept of that. So
I'm sure we'll be getting more details at E3 in June.
And speaking of
I'm excited to see what titles they're going to roll out.
Speaking of PlayStation 4, picked this bad boy up last week.
Oh, yes.
Mortal Kombat 11. Now, why I'm on this, I'm going to share this right quick because this is just a quick hit of the week here. This is probably the best Mortal Kombat game I've ever played. And let me just give you a little bit of backstory. I'm working on a picture right now that I'm going to post over on PopXCast, but I own every single Mortal Kombat game to date, including Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, and DS Lite. All right, so I am going to, out of all those, this one not only combines nostalgia from the 90s games. You can play as the characters from the 90s games in this, in their original outfits from Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. But awesome. The scenes that you battle on are demolished scenes from Mortal Kombat 1. It's insane. And everything, like Avengers Endgame, you know how Avengers Endgame ties up all the loose circles within the MCU? Yeah. Mortal Kombat 11 ties up it all and then blasts it through a rocket through outer space. It's that crazy cool.
Wow.
So this, if I was going to rate Mortal Kombat 11 on a scale of 1 to 10, the PopX score, this is easily a 9.8. It is a phenomenal fighting game. Probably the best fight. The mechanics and the engines on this, it's unreal. You guys are going to love it. Definitely pick it up, rent it, purchase it, do whatever you can do. Send it in a rocket, send it to outer space. I don't care. Just do something. All right. So, man, Austin, you're up.
My turn. All right. So we're going back to Marvel, guys. Debuting later this year is Disney Plus. So excited for it. The studio's official streaming platform, which will be home to not only their staggering catalog of classics, but we'll also see the debut of new films and TV series. This includes all new shows set within the MCU, one of which being WandaVision. So this is focusing on Wanda Maximoff and Vision's relationship. Actress Elizabeth Olsen revealed hints about the show's time frame. Now, this is what interests me.
me and Lindsay are doing the Scarlet Witch. So
trying to be Scarlet Witch fighting Thanos. When production will begin and how many hours of content we can expect. So there's quite a few other comic books that we're pulling from, and it's going to be Wanda and the Vision. And I think at the Disney Plus launch, they showed a photo of us in the 50s, and I think that's a good teaser. It's going to be really fun. I'm really excited. Now, when asked about when production would start, Olsen noted the fall, and I think it's going to be a total of 6 hours for the first season. In addition to WandaVision, fans can expect a series focusing on Loki. Now, we'll get into why here in a bit. And another which focuses on Winter Soldier and Falcon. Now,
I understand why they're doing that one, too.
Wow. It's all making sense now.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen the light this
weekend. It's true.
Guys, this is
Had a
This,
moment.
but think about it like this though: 6 hours. This is like 2 movies with Wanda and Vision. 2 movies. That's incredible. And then you have Loki, and then you have Disney's they're everything right now, and it's incredible.
And I just want to say right quick over in the chat room, I want to say a huge shout out right now. We got Wayne that just joined us. Wayne, stay with us about 4 or 5 minutes. We're going to be talking about Endgame, so you go anywhere. Want to give a huge shout out to Gabe and the Hello Room, Wayne, Jessica. We got Monique joining us in here too as well. We've got Keenan and Sean and Stacy and Brad and you know what? And a plethora of guys out on Facebook and everything. Thank you guys so much.
We have
you guys
six
are so awesome.
live viewers, and even my sister-in-law.
Disney Plus. So let's, you know what? When it launches in November, I was looking at that $6.99 price point for the starting for Disney Plus. Dude, I'm definitely on board because we're getting. You know what's so cool about this? Yeah, Netflix had Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist and stuff. We're getting the actual actors from the MCU in series. That it's just like what? It's gonna be awesome, dude.
Filling in all of the gaps.
Filling in all the gaps, dude.
And, oh my god, man, I can't wait.
And they're also pulling out all the classics from the vault too.
Yes,
I remember that. Yes.
And all of the Pixar films will be there. It's going to be very much worth your $6 a month.
The rumor has it they're launching the platform, and when you purchase for $6.99 a month, you will automatically get Captain Marvel and
early release.
Endgame.
Yeah. Early releases on the platform.
So
That's
it's going to be pretty legit. By the way, before we move on to the last one of the last news articles here, did you guys see that Infinity box set that was leaked out on Reddit?
Oh, a picture of that,
dude.
Did you see that? It's got the glove on it, and it's got all 22 movies in 4K Blu-ray.
Did we find out the price point on that one yet?
They haven't released it, but if I'm thinking in the back of my head, 22 films for a box set, I'm thinking $400, $500 easy. Because you're not going to 22 films in 4K.
Yeah.
That's
anyway.
Yeah,
that's few and far
like
between.
$500.
So I get the honors of bringing in the. Is it Austin or me? I can't remember. What's going on?
I think Star Trek's mine, but you can take it.
Oh no, you go ahead. You go for it, Trekkie.
All right. Yeah, you Trekkie.
Yeah, you
All right,
Trekkie.
Star Trek Discovery's second season has come to an end, and its major guest stars have said goodbye, but fans are clamoring for more. Anson Mount played Christopher Pike, captain of the Starship Enterprise, throughout the season. His performance was so memorable and well received that fans are petitioning for a spin-off that would allow him to return to the character, along with Ethan Peck as Spock and Rebecca, is it Romijn?
Rebecca
as
Romijn.
Number one.
For
For more adventures on the Enterprise set before the events of Star Trek, the original series. Alex Kurtzman, the producer in charge of the expanding Star Trek TV franchise, has heard these calls. The fans have been heard, Kurtzman said during a recent interview. Anything is possible in the world of Trek.
True.
And I would love to bring back the crew more than anything. It was a huge risk for us. One of the most gratifying things is to see how deeply the fans embraced Pike, Spock, number one, and the Enterprise. The idea of getting to tell more stories with them would be a delight for us all. So any Trekkies out there begging for more with that trio, you might be getting to see some more.
Well, I know. On this topic of being Star Trek fans, I know that Austin and I, our fathers introduced us to the wonderful world of Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah.
And so, Austin, have you caught up on Star Trek Discovery?
No, season 1 is in the books, and
Okay.
it's, I didn't anticipate much from the show. It's a great show, and I need to watch season 2. But so far, everything I've heard about all of the characters making cameos, it's been perfect. Everything, perfect casting, everything you can imagine. So I can't
And it's
wait.
more of a darker, grittier Star Trek than we're used to. It's not the sugar coated shenanigans. But I need to catch up. It's so awesome. All right, last headline of the show, and then we're going to hit Avengers Endgame right at that 9:30 mark. Boy, that's good timing. Stan Lee is primarily known for his countless contributions to the world of comic books, and he has went on to develop various comics and entertainment companies in addition to helping develop TV series such as Stan Lee's Lucky Man. Now, while Lee may have passed away this past November, moment of silence for a man, His contributions to pop culture are still being felt, with one of his final projects being the audio drama Stan Lee's Alliances. A Trick of Light is the name of it. The series will debut on Audible June 27th. So you'll be able to have one of the last projects he was working on before he passed was this audio story series, going back to the roots of old school radio where the Phantom and the Bronze Man and all this stuff was coming together. We have the Shadow knows. Isn't that cool though? Stan Lee was bringing back that radio nostalgia.
That's cool.
I totally dig it. Well, guys, it's 9:31. Are you guys ready for some Avengers Endgame discussion?
Please roll that spoiler alert. So
We'll
we
be
can
right
just have it
back.
there.
Don't go nowhere. Avengers Endgame discussion starts now.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
You have been warned, and beyond this point, oh my God.
Can I just say right now, watch the room clear for a second?
I
because
did. I saw
everyone's
the
like,
room clear because
"Oh,
everybody's like,
Nope.
out of here. I hope they come back and watch they'll come back and watch the replay and see what we had to say about it after they see it. Again, it's the opening weekend. It's only been out for a couple days with sellout all weekend long.
it's been a crazy one, man. I'm telling you.
I
it's
totally
been,
respect it. I do not
and I
have
get
my
that, and I'm so glad that they chose to do that because I don't want to be the one saying, "Oh, that daggone PopX cast." So the way we're going to do this tonight is we're going to break this down. Avengers Endgame was 3 hours. So we're going to break it down into hours, okay? And we're going to talk about our favorite moments from each hour, and we're going to share some Easter eggs at the end. And in the last 5-10 minutes of the show, we're going to bring on some people. So if you're out there listening on Facebook Live, over on YouTube, or if you're on Get Vocal, wherever we're streaming at, come hang out with us and hop in the seat. We'll have the seat open for you. I thought Patrick Voss was going to be in here, but I guess I'm just calling him out. But anyway, I digress. He was supposed to be here, right? But so we're going to talk about hour one right now.
Okay.
Now, for me, let me just start by saying I didn't really catch it at first, but Robert Downey Jr., did you see the dramatic weight loss? That I was like,
he looked kind of frail.
he looked. I mean, he starved himself for that role because you said on the thing is 21 days. You know, they've been out there floating in space, limited food, limited supplies, limited petroleum, and he's out there and he's doing his thing, but. The opening scene where he just touches that mask and he's just kind of, his hands are just...
Yeah, he's very weak.
Oh my gosh. And then you see his shoulders and you can see his I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, that's method acting at its best. That's like some Heath Ledger stuff right there, dude.
Yeah.
And so for right off the bat, and then to see him angry when he's at the Avengers, back at the Avengers compound, let's talk about that too. He was rescued by none other than Captain Marvel. Now, Austin, what do you think about Captain Marvel's presence in Endgame? Do you think it was not enough, too much, or just right?
For me, somebody who didn't love her in her movie, I felt she was a bit shortchanged in this movie, but I also understood why they did it because she really is a cheat code, right? If she's there during that entire last battle, they have by far the upper hand compared to what they did when she shows up at the main end. So I think the way that they used her was the appropriate amount, and I did think she was better in this movie. I thought she was better in this film for what she was in it than she was in her own movie. So I liked the way that they utilized her as this, like, the muscle for the Avengers.
That haircut, though.
And comic accurate haircut. Yes.
That was awesome.
He cut her hair.
Speaking of the ladies, what do you think, Linz, about Captain Marvel? Do you think that she did some
Captain Marvel,
justice?
I struggle to rally behind superheroes that have too much power. I just struggle internally with people, with the superheroes that have everything with very little weakness.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even know what her weakness is, technically.
What is her weakness?
it's not kryptonite, which Superman has on the other side. But
It's the Kree,
you know,
I think. I think the Kree has some kind of methodology that can control her if she gets too crazy.
So I mean, I feel that, you know, she came in when she was needed and she wasn't overbearing. So I think the balance was good. You could have used her maybe a little bit more, just because she was such a new character introduced into the universe. I felt like, now granted, we're dealing with like 40 superheroes all in one movie.
Keenan just chimed in and said she only got 15 minutes.
15 minutes. So I feel like she probably could have given a little more time.
But honestly, though, I think from my perspective,
get,
I'm kind of glad they didn't focus too much on her being the new blood, because she's going to have plenty of time in Phase 4 to shine. What I am glad that the Russo brothers did, they focused on the Trinity, the three originals. They focused on Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, and even Incredible Hulk in there too. I mean, I don't know if you could call it. So I'm glad they did that, because it started with those four.
Yes.
And it ended with those four, if that makes sense.
My fear was that Captain Marvel was going to come in and solve everything. That was my big issue.
Mine too. I was worried.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted our heroes that we have built up for 22 movies, Black Widow and Hawkeye included, to be a part of taking him out. That wasn't the case, and I'm glad that wasn't the case. And one of the reasons why I think they nixed Thor too, and I know we'll get into, you know, him mentally and physically impaired. That's one of the reasons why I think they did, is because if he was Infinity War Thor at that end battle, I think he would have beaten Thanos maybe in about 5 or 10 minutes. So they had to find a way to depower him, and I think they went about it the best way. Once again, the right decision. That's one thing I keep saying.
Keenan makes a good point. They took out that pager scene as well, because normally they will have that scene, even if it's shot on a different angle, they'll have some reference to the pager scene. But honestly, if you went and saw Captain Marvel and you stayed for the end scene credit, when she says, "Where's Fury?" Does it really? I mean, we've seen the pager. We've seen the pager in Infinity War. Then we've seen the pager again in Captain Marvel. I don't think it was needed in.
I agree.
Yes. Kind of answered the, you know, they answered her whenever they were like, "Well, where the heck have you been since the '90s?" And she's like, Earth isn't the only planet in the universe.
Earth isn't the only place.
And not all the other places have you guys, so you know it's kind of priority."
And that one line that she dropped, like, Earth wasn't the only one that lost 50% of everything.
Yeah,
it's the whole universe, and I mean, we're rallying behind Earth, but we're forgetting everybody else. You know.
Yeah,
she was a little sassy.
I think the biggest emotional gut punch in the first hour was the first scene with Hawkeye's family. I mean, a lot of people predicted that's how we were going to open up.
Yeah.
And it was rough, man.
I literally said out loud in the theater, I was like, "You've got to be freaking kidding me. We're starting it this way?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, if you go back and you view Infinity War and Endgame as, because they filmed them all at the same time, they got to pick up where they left off. And when they left off, it was heart-wrenching. So they have to bring you back to that place. And it's like, man, I knew it was going to be emotional, but we're starting off on really low note, guys.
You know, and I had a sneaky suspicion, and I think we've talked about this before, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when we did Infinity War last year, we were talking about it. There's going to be a scene where Hawkeye's family is going to die.
We did. Yep.
And I remember talking about that last year. And daggone it, did they not open up the whole movie with that freaking? I'm like, I was sitting there watching. I was like, we just talked about this one year ago.
Yep. And Keenan poses a great question: who in the flip puts mayo on hot dogs? Seriously.
Maybe if you're a Californian.
I don't know.
I'm like, who are you?
Well, Hawkeye's license plate says Missouri, so maybe it's just something they do in Missouri.
I don't know. But not down here in the Oklahoma land.
But all right, so let's move on here. So hour one, not only did we get to see Tony, we saw Cap. Cap was shaving his beard. He's cleaned up now, and he's reminiscent of his original self in the first Avenger. We also see two other characters that are huge. When we were talking about Hawkeye going into Ronin, his new role, but also let's focus for a minute on Natasha, Black Widow, and let's focus on Bruce Banner. Two of the probably the most significant role changes for the MCU. Now, for me, seeing Natasha, going back and seeing it for the second and third time, I was able to actually pick up Natasha's story was perfectly full circle.
Yeah.
In the first hour, she was wrestling with loss. she was wrestling with not having a family. She lost, you know, and in that, she realized that the Avengers was her family, and it's worth dying for.
Yes.
All right, so we're not going to get to what happened until we go into the hour 2, but also we have the Incredible Hulk, who we know in Infinity War was struggling. I mean, he got his butt handed to him by Thanos in the opening scene, and he's just like, so it created this psychosomatic conflict within Banner. All right, so that leads me to this. Oh, yeah. Joe had to go back in the archive and grab a few things out of my insane collection here of comic books. So we're just going to do that. In 1990, Peter David, great writer for Marvel Comics, penned a series, and it would literally give birth to one of the greatest versions of Incredible Hulk that we've seen to date. And that version is actually called Professor Hulk. So in this series, Banner, down at the bottom, is having a wrestling match inside his mind with the Gray Hulk and the Green Hulk. He is at war with his psychosis. And it doesn't matter if he's in a mood or whatever, he'll turn green in 1 second, and the next second he'll turn gray. All right? Which leads us into the next one. Professor Hulk from Endgame, this is where he was born. Yes. Incredible Hulk 377, there is the first issue of Professor Hulk, which they sometimes call it the merged Hulk, which means that Banner and Hulk are in the same entity and the same consciousness, if that makes sense. And also, right after that, we have this one, which introduces, this is where the heroes and everybody gets to see Banner for the first time as the merged Hulk. So that's the entire story arc on that. And I have several copies of it. I mean, it's just a great story. But, you know, they're paying homage not only to Peter David and all the great writers of Marvel Comics of yesteryear, but now we get a Professor Hulk, a Hulk that walks and talks and smart and wears glasses and clothes. You know, it's so, oh my God, it's just so spot on with the comic books. It's just ridiculous. And just freaking hats off to the Russo brothers.
Hulk has been going through the struggle of finding that even balance back and forth since Ragnarok.
Yeah. Yeah, because he does his identity.
Movie where it kind of started the back and forth, and then it kind of just got gradually worse. And then whenever we had the confrontation with Thanos, that pretty much sealed the deal that he was, something.
And when I was watching it the first time, you make a really good point, Lindsay. When I was watching it the first time, I didn't really pick up on, like, how did he go from Banner and Hulk into this? Yeah. I didn't pick it up the first time. The second time I did. He said he spent 18 months in the Gamma Chamber. I don't know if you remember that line.
Oh, I didn't.
So he spent 18 months in the Gamma Chamber to figure out the psychology of Incredible Hulk so he could merge both bodies and consciousnesses into one physical form. Yes. And I was like, oh, okay.
18 months. Do you think they're going to make a movie or a show covering that period?
Well, there's rumors. There is rumors. It's not confirmed, but I saw this on Reddit last week. They are wanting Mark Ruffalo to do a series on Disney Plus. Cool. And here's the kicker. They're wanting to introduce She-Hulk. And Banner will be passing the baton off to She-Hulk, and She-Hulk will now be a part of the Phase 4 cinematic universe.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
Now, that is not confirmed, but if this is the first time you've heard that, you heard it here first on PopX. So that is something that they're working on in 2021. So it's going to be Mark Ruffalo. Limited scenes with Mark Ruffalo, probably maybe a fourth of the show. But they're going to be introducing She-Hulk and following her, and then She-Hulk's going to be carrying that baton.
Good, I'm glad that they're going to keep rolling down the
lane. So hour one, is there anything else we missed? So we've got Nebula and Rocket. They bring back Tony.
I love the warmth that Nebula has developed over the series, especially she shows a lot of warmth in this movie. A lot more than any of the Guardians movies or Infinity War or anything.
It's a huge contrast.
It started out of the gate with, I loved the football game that they were playing up in space, and she was like, no.
That was funny.
And that came out like right after we had to deal with Hawkeye's family. So again,
it was a nice change of emotion.
Good balance.
It was awesome. Well, Austin, you got anything you want to tag on to hour one? Go ahead.
Yeah. Starting with Hulk going to Nebula, what I found interesting about the Hulk storyline is out of all of the heroes who are all just struggling and distraught and haven't been able to find peace, the Hulk has been the character, Bruce Banner has been the character that has never found peace until all of the other heroes are struggling with that problem. And now you see at the beginning of the movie when he first gets introduced, he's happy. He's dabbing and posing for
his demons.
Yeah. So I found that such an interesting, and it is the culmination of his 3-movie story arc between Ragnarok, Infinity War, and now Endgame.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Nebula, I've never been a fan of Nebula. I've never liked her in any of the movies.
But
never,
this one.
ever.
But this one.
But
Yeah.
this is by far her best performance, and she was actually one of my favorite characters in this movie.
And
that's the Russo brothers, man.
And
That's-
Keenan over on the side chat here says she got too much time. And he thought for 41 minutes. And I think the reason though, if you think about it, Keenan, she was the antagonist for the Infinity Stones.
Mhm.
And so there was 2 nebulas. And so that made a lot of sense because she had to be part of that. Doesn't matter how much screen time they got. I think the Russo brothers just really kind of meddled that really well.
You had to cap off that arc between her and her father and her sister. That arc
and her
had to be
doppelganger as well. So
exactly, yes.
So anything else on hour 1, guys? See, as we're going in, let's talk about Thor. Oh my God.
Yeah.
God bless Thor.
And Korg. Yes.
Hey, it's okay. Hey, what is it? What is the player? Noob something 69
or something.
I was thoroughly happy, and I was elated to see that Korg and Meek
Oh, me too.
and Valkyrie
They're the
survived.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the shipwreck and all that stuff, and I was
Yeah.
like, they're not showing dead bodies with these characters in it. I know they got away, and they just confirmed it, and I was like, all is good. in the
There was some great closure with the Asgardian refugees. So right out of
Yes.
Thor Ragnarok, we didn't really get to see where they went to in Infinity War.
Right.
I
And they
was
came
like-
back to Earth and they started a new Asgard.
Right. And then the camera focuses in on Chris Hemsworth, and we see a version of Thor that we're just like, Thor.
I just wanted to throw up.
Thor was the big Lebowski. He was kind of
He was the dude.
He was the dude, man. He got the shades on, the long beard, the hoodie, and the belly. Oh
That
my
was
God.
a little too much for me. That was a
I love
little bit too much for me. I mean, I understand the whole mental struggle of defeat and people deal with it in different ways, and I know that was kind of how they were trying to portray it. But I was like, this is like SNL.
Well,
I
it's-
thought it was perfect.
I thought it was great.
I
I thought it was
know.
absolutely brilliant. Austin, what do you think about it?
Well, it's like you have this god who is perfect looking, the perfect mental, like he's everything that anyone has ever wanted to be, and then he's literally lost everything.
Everything.
And the only thing he had left to hold on to was his integrity, and that was completely. And we saw it when he took off Thanos' head, and it still did not help him because he knew he was too late. He was defeated. And because he was defeated, I believe that put him in a mental state. And because of that, it put him in a physical state to where he just could not recover. And I do think it was like a tiny bit over the top at times, but Chris Hemsworth is the best comedian on the entire roster. All of them. All of the Guardians, Chris Pratt. No, it is Chris Hemsworth. He is the best comedian. So I believe that is the reason why they played that up. And not to fast forward too much, but I think now where we go forward in the MCU, Chris Hemsworth is going to be played more for his humor because of where he's at the end of the movie.
Right.
So I thought it was great, man. I loved it. Loved it.
And you know what? As a movie this dark and this serious, there had to be some sort of comedic banter.
It needs
Whether it was Ant-Man or Hulk eating in the diner and getting a selfie with fans, or hey, let's do that. But I thought it was really well balanced. And you know what? Thor got his redemption in the last hour. He really brought it home. And Chris Hemsworth, and let's talk about him for a minute. His contract, he just literally signed another contract to be in Phase 4. Did you guys know this?
Let's go.
He went to Twitter and he said, I will do Thor indefinitely until they kick me out.
That's perfect.
I mean, I can understand with Chris Evans because Chris Evans is getting older now. And
Yeah.
you can't. And then Robert Downey Jr. is what, in his 60s now? Is it RDJ? Yeah, he's
50 something. Yeah, he's old.
like 58, 56. Yeah.
I don't know. He's getting up there. And I mean, I liked the comedy relief, but I just feel like they pushed it a little too far on the gut beer.
I don't think so. I think it was well balanced, just
I
like
think, too,
Thanos' spear.
If he was physically fit at
perfect
the
in
end,
every way.
if he was like ready for battle, I just think I would not have believed it if Thanos would have fought him as well as he did when Thor was completely out of his state, right? If it would have been Thor from Infinity War, I'm like, Thor's going to take this guy out in like 3 swings. You know, I think that was the only way to go about it, because otherwise we would not have had that battle. I think Thor would have just Captain Marveled him, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's transition now. We've set the base. We've seen where the characters are in the first hour. We forgot to mention that Tony Stark is now married to Pepper Potts, and has a daughter named Morgan. Was it Morgan? Was it Morgan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Morgan
And so, straight out of the comics, again, Tony Stark does have a daughter in the comic books. This goes all the way back to the 60s, and his daughter's name is Morgan.
I love you 3000.
I love you 3000. Stop it. You're killing me, Smalls. Stop it. But even in Tony's story arc, you know, he started the MCU, and he always wanted to have that family unit because he never did. Because he never had the family unit at home, because Howard Stark was always so busy doing other projects. He never had that love.
Got what he always wanted.
And for 5 years, he got to birth a child with Pepper and got to raise her up and love her like no one else. And I think Tony's story was so beautiful in this because his story became full circle. Everything he wanted to experience, everything he needed to do, and that's going to take us into hour 2 now. We're going to call this the retro flashback hour as the Avengers go down into time. Austin, you know, we're talking a little bit about Tony, but you want to give some of the people maybe a little bit of information about how they got back in time and how that story arc transitioned?
Well, I was going to say it all starts with Ant-Man, but really it all starts with that daggone rat walking over. And, you know, I heard a lot of... It's Master Splinter. I heard a lot of complaints from
Master
people saying,
Splinter.
well, that is just the most convenient thing I've ever heard. Okay. Fate works in mysterious ways, and the universe works in mysterious ways, and you have to take into consideration the butterfly effect. The Avengers weren't going to lose, no matter how long, and it took 5 years for this to happen, but convenience stepped in, yes, but you have to look, it's a freaking movie about a talking raccoon and a giant green guy. Every now and then there's going to be a little bit of convenience, and if it wasn't the rat, it would have been something else, but that happened. Ant-Man comes out, he says, I figured out time travel, and they have this wonderful montage of them trying to get it going.
Quantum realm.
That doesn't work. And then in comes Tony Stark.
Ant-Man was
Boom,
hilarious.
I figured it out. And that's where we get into the
Second
run
hour.
through history
Yeah.
with our Avengers.
And so I think here a lot of people's like, well, that rat was so convenient. That rat, you know, bringing Scott Lang out of the quantum realm. Well, it said 5 years later. It doesn't matter how long time would have transitioned. That moment of Scott coming out of the quantum realm was bound to happen.
It was going
Whether
to
it
happen.
was a rat or them accidentally moving the van and triggering something, it was bound to happen. And so it just took, get this, 5 years for that to happen. You know, that's why they said 5 years. So I thought it was really great. And then so time travel. Scott Lang is wrestling with the idea of the quantum realm. How, you know, if I can go in the quantum realm twice and come out alive and unscathed, there has to be a way to navigate it from point A to point B in the space-time continuum. Boy, I sound like Doc Brown all of a sudden. Anyway, so it was really interesting. And so Tony Stark developed this not an oracle, what was it? A wristband, but it was a oblong-shaped type thing that allowed them to go from point A to point B within the quantum realm. Yeah. And none of us really knew how that was going to work out. We had a feeling it was going to be the quantum realm, but we didn't know it was going to be for certain the quantum realm. Yeah. And that leads us into the next part, which is hour 2, the nostalgic walk down memory lane. Probably one of my favorite hours, aside from hour 3, the epic battle. But it was so cool, and I love. All right, I'm talking too much. I know I am, but I just want to say, all the 3, the Trinity, got closure that they wanted within the quantum realm.
That's it.
Iron Man got to see, he got everything he wanted. Captain America Iron Man got to see his father working at the Shield base in the 70s.
Had a conversation with him.
And hugged him. How many times in Iron Man 3, remember the scene in Iron Man 3 when we see RDJ and he's as a young kid? And he's like, that was my father. I never really knew my father. How cool is that? That's full circle, guys. I mean, I got goosebumps when he hugged his father. I'm like, oh my gosh.
That whole conversation was great, and whenever the conversation they were having was about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was just like incredible. And at that time, Tony had his own kids, so he had a relatable,
Yeah. The
relevant-
guy with the weird mustache, the weird beard, the hippie guy. Is that what they said? But so Tony Stark got to have his moment, and then Cap did too. Cap realized that Peggy was alive and accidentally stumbled into Peggy's office.
And she had the picture of Cap. She had the picture of him
Before the juice, and he looked down and saw that.
And I believe seeing her is what triggers his decision later on, because seeing her face to face, this is the life I want. And here's just a real quick diversion.
Yeah.
The parallels between Tony Stark and Captain America. Tony Stark always wanted to, settle down, have the life he wanted. He got that, but he wasn't happy. He had to be the hero. Captain America has always been portrayed as the hero. He's the guy that has to go battle. He got that, but he wasn't happy. He had to settle down, right? It's complete opposites. And what they always wanted, they got, but then what they truly wanted is how it completely ended their storyline. That's going into the future, but yeah, I thought
they wanted. I mean, I think closure is the word that I'm hearing when you're saying that.
Let me add to that real quick while we're talking about
Iron
Man and Cap. Cap got his shield back.
Oh yeah,
he did from Civil War. It took that long.
Gave it back to Cap.
Yeah, that was
I
awesome.
thought it was a fantastic way to officially bury the hatchet of the tension in the feud that had been going on forever.
Yes.
Finally came to a close, and he was like, "Okay, we can all breathe now."
That's so deep. That's so deep, guys.
This makes Civil War better too, because that Civil War storyline carried all the way until what year? 2022, 2023. Like, that's incredible.
That was a very long.
And Keenan
stretch.
brings up a really great thing too in the time travel. Now we got all these characters, and they all went back in time. Of course, we know that Hulk, Banner, went to talk to Doctor Strange. What was it? The Oracle? Is that her
Ancient
name?
One. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The Ancient One. Yeah.
The Ancient One. And I mean, bringing back the nostalgia of Doctor Strange, they have this very intelligent conversation on the Infinity Stones and how one stone can make a ripple effect in the space-time continuum.
The explanation of the time
Wasn't
travel.
that cool, man?
Yes.
And then Banner is like, told her, is like, well, Strange gave Thanos the stone, and she's like,
The face
wait,
change.
yeah, she's like, willingly.
That means
He was
I
like,
mess up, but I don't mess up.
And so, him being the Sorcerer Supreme, and she knew, she's like, where's Doctor Strange? And the Ancient One says, oh, he's down that way, but you're 5 years too early.
Yeah.
You're 5 years too early.
Yeah.
She knew that Strange was going to be the predecessor. Isn't that crazy cool to think about?
That's
crazy.
And then we have...
enjoyed everything about that scene. They couldn't have done anything differently. It was perfect. The whole explanation, the setup for
It was insane.
It was just good to see the Ancient One again, and then all of that.
Well,
was just...
let's talk about Natasha for a second, because we're already at the the 1 hour mark for the show. Heck, if you can believe this. But let's talk about Black Widow for a second. Her and Hawkeye go to, is it Vormir? Is that the name? Vormir.
Yeah.
And they
Vormir is
go,
the planet that the Soul Stone is on.
And we know, now if you guys don't know this, when you have to get the Soul Stone, you have to exchange a soul for the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reversing it. There's no going back from that. And it was a heartfelt. Austin, what did you think about Natasha's choice?
Well, first of all, that was spoiled for me in my comment section of a random video that wasn't an Avengers video, so I was pissed off before I saw the movie. Yeah, but honestly a battle to the death to save each other. And their storyline has come a long way, right? Since the very first Avengers. You can tell they love each other. And even without knowing that spoiler, I would have assumed Black Widow just because she's always in her own way been Hawkeye's protector. And of course, Hawkeye had a family to get back to, of course. But that scene where they're both battling and he lets her go, doesn't want to let her go, but he does. That is one of the most heartbreaking scenes because it showed me that Black Widow's arc was a fantastic, and I've never thought about it before, how wonderful of an arc her character has had. She wanted to wipe out the red from her ledger. She did that by sacrificing herself for the Soul Stone. And I thought that scene was wonderful.
And it's, you know, it's no coincidence that both Black Widow and Hawkeye, their first appearance was.
Yes. I mean,
yeah.
Here's what I say too. I do think she will, because you know she's got a movie coming out, right?
Does.
I don't know where she's going to, where they're going to explore. It's got to be a prequel.
It has
because
to be a prequel, yeah.
But I would love to see them explore Hawkeye and Black Widow's relationship even more by giving us Budapest. They've always talked about Budapest. My God, show me Budapest. I want to see it.
Yeah. And, you know, how weird of a conversation is that, you know, talking to Red Skull and just, you know, I'm going to be tying in here to the last hour, but just how awkward would it be when Captain America had to go back and give the Soul Stone up to Red Skull? It's like, oh, hey, haven't seen you since 1944. You missing something?
Oh, yeah, I would have loved to have seen that. Oh,
no, that would have been a really weird conversation.
Yeah. Another thing about this, before we move on, I loved, because you said, you know, Tony and his dad and Cap and Peggy, Thor and his mom.
Oh, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah.
That one got me good. I was like, oh my God.
Because I think that really snapped Thor out of his funk that he was in, kind of.
Yeah.
But it makes me look back at Thor: The Dark World, which is a movie, my least favorite movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I go, okay, that serves its purpose. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And then Thor got the closure with his mother that he had always wanted, because when his dad died, that tore him up. But when his mother died, his mother loved him like none other. And she's like, boy, I was a witch before you were even born. I know exactly where your heart's at right now. And he was just like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
Can
we just talk about Natalie Portman?
Oh, dude. I never thought I'd see her back.
She didn't come back. Do you know the secret?
No, I didn't think I'd see her face back.
No, do you know the secret of that? That was recycled, unused footage from Thor: The Dark World.
But she talks so much smack about Marvel. I never thought they'd use her. And she was at the premiere. Did you see her at the premiere?
I didn't see her at the premiere. No, I didn't.
She was at the premiere, and I'm like,
but she used her voice. She came back and did a few lines on voiceover.
I couldn't believe it. But it worked because Rocket had to get what he had to get from her. So I'm glad she at least agreed to that. Thank you, Natalie, for coming to terms with something.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nat.
Yeah, I was more excited about the hammer, to be honest.
The hammer.
Mjolnir made another appearance.
Gave somebody else.
Can we? I think the theater erupted when Mjolnir came back and the hammer's there. It's like, oh, wait a minute. She's like, well, it takes a minute. Then all of a sudden, boom! Everything that Hela had done was completed.
Yeah, it takes a minute sometimes.
Takes a minute. Well, that sets us up for the last hour. I mean, we've the second hour in Endgame is such a one. It's a nostalgic walk down memory lane, and especially we haven't even touched about this yet. The Avengers New York scene from 2012.
Oh yes, Cap versus Cap.
I mean, that was really crazy, right? I did not. That's America's. You know what?
Why?
But
and the Winter Soldier elevator scene 2 years prior. Let's go.
Wow. Well, did you know, we all know what Cap said in the elevator. Hell Hydra. Do you know what that's from? 2016, Marvel in the comics did the Secret Wars.
Cap was a Hydra agent.
That was as recent as 2016 they referenced the comics. I'm like, whoa, that's a brand new story arc, and they just referenced that in a comic book movie. That's insane. But I thought that it was really fun. One of the scenes I liked was when Hulk saw himself battling, and he was just bashing the car, and he's just like had this moment where he's like, "Oh God, that wasn't me, was it?"
I liked when he was going down the stairs.
Hulk Hogan's there.
And then it sets up for Tony Stark getting hit, and Loki takes the Tesseract.
Where did Loki go?
Oh,
That
he
sets up
portaled
Steve.
out of there so he could get a series,
Yep.
So I was confused by that. So Loki got the Tesseract in 2012,
Yes.
which means that Ragnarok never happened? Or did it happen?
Well, here's what I think happened. So at the end, when Cap goes back and places all of the stones back, right?
You're in the bonus hour now.
Yeah, exactly. Everything resets at that point, right? So none of the things that they did actually happened because Cap puts the stones back, except Loki has an Infinity Stone that he escaped with. Now there are two versions of the Tesseract in that timeline in 2012, and Loki.
Did we not listen to the ancient one? There is an
Loki's still
alternate
alive.
There's an alternate timeline.
Yes,
for Loki.
Loki's still alive.
He can do whatever the heck he
Well,
wants.
I
in
be
that
dang,
regard.
slap my butt and call me Sally. And I think it's really interesting too. I mean, there's a lot of things. The whole time paradox, whether it's
We're gonna
debatable or argue.
The time business in
Yeah.
the third hour, because I have questions.
Where was the Mind Stone, please? The Mind Stone was who had the Mind Stone? Was it Scott Lang that got the Mind Stone?
Vision had the Mind Stone in his head.
Vision
It
had the
was-
Mind Stone, but the Mind Stone came out of Loki's scepter.
There's the scepter. So who got the scepter? Wasn't
Cap got the scepter because that was where they battle in the battle in the elevator. Because Cap
Yes.
had the scepter in the briefcase. There you go, Kenny.
And then he brought it back.
So let's transition into hour 3. My God, we're like, this is so much going on here. I can't keep up. So hour 3, they come back, and at this point, when they're on Morag, which was the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, when Star-Lord's supposed to get the Power Stone. It is the Power Stone, right? Is that the one I'm thinking about? The purple one?
Yes.
Yeah.
So they totally hijack him and hit him upside the head and knock Star-Lord out. He doesn't even know what's going on.
Right.
In that moment, Nebula, unbeknownst to her, creates a doppelganger of herself. Nebula is also in the same timeline. And Nebula is still under Thanos' rule.
Yeah.
And that's where the antagonist for the final hour sets up, where there's two Nebulas. And so one Nebula is trying to talk to the other Nebula. And it's really crazy because she alerts her father. Now, her father in the first hour, in the first 15 minutes of the film, he is beheaded. Thanos is beheaded by Stormbreaker, by Thor. Let's go back to 2012 at the end of hour 2. And right up there, we have two Nebulas, and there is Thanos back again in full armor, ready to go. And she gives the coordinates to the time travel quantum realm machine that's in the present. And guess who shows up? So, yeah, pretty crazy.
It's happened in that little computer of hers, and man,
But I am kind of glad that Nebula shot her own self.
I love
the right Nebula, not the doppelganger Nebula.
yeah.
I love the fact that they went back and got, because the Thanos that we saw in Infinity War was more the philosopher Thanos. I've been through battle. I'm done. I just want to do this thing and I want to retire in my garden. This Thanos walks in. The first thing we see, he's got blood all over him. Just came back from battle. He's wiping off his weapon. He's like, who's next? And then he sees that he fails. So he's even more pissed off. And that's the Thanos that he showed why he's the only one who could hold the gauntlet in the universe, because he is the most. He took on the whole team of the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
It was incredible seeing Thanos ready for battle, angry Thanos, and I thought he was the perfect antagonist.
Well, you hit the nail on the head there, too. When he saw his own demise, because Nebula from the future, her memory is recorded, and he was able to access all of that. And he saw the entire conversation with the Avengers go down. And he was like, and then he saw himself beheaded, and he said, that is, what did he say? That is prodigy or something. He said something kind of epic. It was, I can't remember how he
Along
worded
the
it.
lines of, he's accomplished his goal, essentially.
And that
he's
is,
like,
that is progeny personified or something like that, I can't remember how he said it. Yeah, he was talking about, that's the whole reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. It was all worth that. If I was able to eradicate 50% of the entire population of the entire universe, it was all worth it.
It's inevitable.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That just puts even more fire under his butt whenever he comes back.
And Keenan reminded me too. The Black Order is back. We got Squigworth back and his whole team of refugees. So it's pretty crazy. So hour 3, Nebula kills her doppelganger. That's the actual the current Nebula. That's got the change of heart Nebula, as we like to call her. Good. And Tony has created this gauntlet. And they strategically, it looks like an Iron Man glove. And they strategically put the stones on the gauntlet. And they're debating on which one. The Chris Hemsworth Thor is like, I'm the one, I'm the god, I'm made of lightning, I could do this. Yeah. And there's a debate going back. And this is one of the highlights of I love this part. Hulk says, I'm the only one. The thing emits gamma. I can absorb the gamma radiation.
Made for it.
And here's something you guys didn't, I don't know if you guys realized, but Hulk's snap, when they strategically put the stones on, Hulk's snap is the one that brought back everybody that perished in Infinity War.
Yes.
His snap.
Yes.
We ain't got to the other snap yet.
Like Dorothy, when she wants to go home, you click your heels. You have to think about where you're going first.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. You think about what you want, and then you snap.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yep.
And I love how they explain why he was so charred at the end, because he tried to go back and get Black Widow. He says, I tried to save her. And I think that's honestly one of the reasons why he's so, and we know that Hulk can heal very slowly, so it might take some time. I think he'll get a lot of his movement back. I don't know if he'll ever be the same again, but it did, man. It messed him up.
I forgot he said that, Austin. That's a really good point. I tried to get Natalie.
I tried so hard.
Not Natasha, rather. I tried to get Natasha.
Yeah. Tried to get her.
Wow.
Couldn't do it.
That's love, man.
That is love. He really wanted his girl back, you know?
Yeah.
Dang. Poor Banner.
Poor
All
Banner.
right, so let's just talk about this epic battle. Unlike anything I've ever seen in my life cinematically. Lindsay, what did you think of that final 20-minute battle?
Sparkly circles. The yellow sparkly circle. Okay. We've had our ups, we've had our downs a million times, and we've laughed in between all of them. And now you're waiting for it. You know it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The portal's open. Doctor Strange somehow magically gets a vision that he needs to do this. I don't even know how he.
No, Hulk snap brought him back.
I know, but
yeah.
they when they came back like where they died from.
That was Strange's portals.
They were all out Wakanda or whatever.
Yeah.
So Doctor Strange had to bring them all back to wherever they needed to be.
Right.
I honestly wish they would have given just a smidgy more time for the reunions.
There was no time for a reunion.
There was no time for a reunion.
No.
I just wish that there was. Because, Groot and Rocket were just kind of like, what's up, buddy? All right, let's go get some.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, I didn't even know that I could, I was tears of joy, tears of sadness. There was so much stuff going on. But whenever Peter and Tony got to see each other.
The hug,
I was just like, this is like.
The kid.
The kid, I was just like, oh my God.
He's like, oh, that feels nice, Mr. Stark.
Oh, man.
Keenan's got a good question over here in the sidebar. He says, big question, how was everybody holding the gauntlet without damaging the consequences of holding the Infinity Stones? They didn't put it on physically. They weren't wielding it. So Spider-Man was using his web, and then Captain Marvel is cosmic, so she can do whatever she wants to do with it.
How do you guys feel about the Captain Marvel with her all the single ladies standing behind her?
That is the A-Force.
A-Force.
The A-Force is the Avengers female force. And so that was a nod to the upcoming A-Force, for sure.
That was interesting.
That was
that was
cool.
Like, okay, like going down feminine.
The only one missing in the A-Force was She-Hulk. The only one missing was She-Hulk. And so I was applauding it. I was like, oh my God, there's all the females.
It was cool, but it was a little bit awkward, just like a skosh on the awkward for me, because there was no
negative Ghost Rider. I thought it was BA all the way.
My thing about that, I thought it was great. I think strategically, I was wondering in the back of my head, okay, where's everybody else? You know what I mean? If it was all the guys, same thing. It's like, where are all the girls at? You know what I mean? But here's the thing: this whole movie is fan service.
Yeah.
Marvel need backup? Honest.
What is it?
Why would Captain Marvel need backup?
Well, that's the thing too. But here's my thing: this whole movie is fan service, and they're literally servicing every fan they can imagine. The young fan, the person who's new to the MCU, this and that. There is a large group of people that have always wanted to see the female heroes in the MCU all together teaming up. And you know what the Russo brothers said? They said, "Yeah, we're going to put it in the movie." Like they just said, everything that anyone has ever wanted is in this movie. So it honestly didn't bother me.
Now that you explained it with the A-Force, that makes a lot more sense. But me going into there not even knowing that was a thing, it was just kind of like, this is kind of strange.
Well, you know, that 15 seconds of frame right there was actually just fan service nodding to the A-Force team, that letting them know that this does exist, this is a thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I was applauding it. I was like, oh, I know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Can we talk a minute about Pepper and her suit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rescue armor.
Go for it.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was blue. It was like this nice royal blue. Anyways. But
it was pretty awesome. And seeing her and Stark circling and fighting back to back against
she was
all
so
the
powerful.
She was awesome. She was awesome. And you know, there's one thing that was really left for me, and I don't know if anybody can answer this for me, and me being the comic buff I am, Iron Man 3, Pepper got some superpowers. You know, she can create heat and stuff like that. Then it was never addressed.
Well, at the end of that movie, Tony mentioned that she was going to have the surgery to get that what was put in her removed at the end of that movie. He never showed it, but he said, but that does to me explain her having those powers, why she was so good in the suit, because she's been in action before. And earlier in the movie, you see Morgan is holding that helmet, and he's like, I gave that to your mom. She's never used it. Oh, but she has, and she proved that she's used it. And I'm like, yep.
Wasn't she so cute holding up her little hand and had her mask on?
I love
she had the little
Oh,
touch
man.
thing on her butt. That was the
That's
cutest.
so
That was
awesome.
really good.
It's great.
And
so-
I know we were playing Scarlet Witch earlier, but the fact that she got a little bit of payback,
Oh, buddy.
I was cheering for that. I was
It
totally
was
cheering.
Scarlet Witch's magic, like crushing the armor of Thanos, and Thanos was the one to give the order, rain down fire. And,
Yeah.
and Ebony Maw's like, are you sure, sir? It will kill all of our troops, sir. And are you sure, sire? Sire, whatever. I mean, are we Arthurian legends now? King Arthur? Yes, sire. We will rain down. But yes, good point. Scarlet Witch brought it back.
She totally
You've took
got
everything from me. Now you will feel. Anyway, sorry.
Can we talk about my favorite part of the movie real quick?
Yes.
My absolute favorite part. And this is actually before the battle. This is when Captain America picks up Thor's hammer. Can we just talk?
My God.
The entire theater broke out in insane
I had
cheering.
people jumping out of the seats at my theater on
I
night
think
one.
I don't remember. It was all blur. But this is my single. This is the best cinematic moment I've ever had.
I love how Thor
This
was
was
like, I knew it.
I have nothing to live for now. That was it. I lost my freaking mind. That was, and he was using it, man, like he's been using it. Like he was.
I was about to say, I was like, how that did Cap have hammer training? Like it was like a summer camp
Well,
elective class or something?
I mean,
Well, what Odin says in the first story, he says, "Whoever holds his hammer shall possess the power of Thor." And to me, that says possess the skill, the lightning, the power, everything.
the knowledge. Whoever holds it has immediately the knowledge. And I just think it was really awesome, you know, Asgardian legend, Asgardian lore, if you will, you know, and Captain, you pick that, and you just see this, it just levitates off the ground, and then all of a sudden it just goes directly to Cap's hand.
Oh my God.
Dude, I got chill bumps. I was like, oh my God, that's Age of Ultron. That is just like right back to it when Cap moved in on the table and everybody else was trying to.
Yeah.
It was a pretty awesome fan service.
You know what some people have been throwing around? They said the moment in Civil War when Cap tells Iron Man that Bucky killed his family is the moment, because we saw he couldn't lift the whole thing in Age of Ultron. That was the moment Cap became fully worthy, and that was the moment that he could lift the hammer, and we see that in Endgame. I don't know if I believe that 100%, but I'm like,
but that's some good stuff to go on though, because it makes a lot of sense. Well, as we're coming up to a culmination here, we're almost 20 minutes over right now, if you can believe that. But hour 3 ended, and you know, Hulk did the one snap that brought back everybody that perished. But during the hustle and during, you know, Thanos is trying to get the glove, and everybody's scouring. It goes through Spider-Man. It goes through Valkyrie. It goes through Pepper Potts comes and rescues Spider-Man, and then Captain Marvel gets it, and then Thanos takes the Power Stone out of the gauntlet and literally catapults Marvel into orbit. I mean, that's probably the blow that probably knocked her unconscious, honestly. Yeah. So all of this, and then you know, there's a moment where him and Tony Stark are going at it again. I mean, they're face to face, and we don't see it, but Tony grabs the stones out of the gauntlet. He just like, and in his suit,
he doesn't take the gauntlet off. He puts it in his own suit.
Well, he had his suit modified, and it's almost like Tony predicted. He knew what was going to happen, and he put the stones in there, and he just raised his hand, and the stones become up. You just see the lightning go up the side of his face. No, I don't think you should watch this, John. Exit, stage left. But I'm talking to John Pret over in the chat room for you guys on Facebook that don't understand what's going on. But we're getting ready to drop some big spoilers, John. So if you want to,
we're talking about the very end.
We're talking about the end of the movie. So I'm just saying, if you want to stay, you're at your own risk. He's gone. All right, good.
Yeah. Good.
Sud, I hate that, but he came in right. Anyway, long story short.
I know.
Tony he's like, I am Thanos, and then Tony's like, I am Iron Man. And
my God.
Boom, and you see that, and the whole screen goes white. And in that moment, Tony sacrifices everything that he is as a hero. It started with Tony, and it ended with Tony. And he not only, Tony's snap didn't bring back the heroes. Tony's snaps killed all of Thanos and his army and his legions. Everything obliterated into dust. Mm-hmm. It was a cinematic glory when Thanos sits down. He's got his shoulders on his knees, and he just looks down.
You knew he lost.
So great. I got chill. I have goosebumps. Like
I know. Even the sound effects was just like insane.
That wind sound. Is like.
Yeah,
I love the moment when he's dying too. He could have had a quip. He could have said something. Just silence. And he's surrounded by the 3 people who he needed to be surrounded by: Peter, Pepper, and Rhodey. That's it. That's all he needed, and it was handled perfectly. And I love what Pepper does. She just slowly shoves Spider-Man to the side. She looks at Tony, and she says, "You can rest." And it was perfect. It was perfect.
Oh, Keenan makes a really good point. He was haunted for years, and it's the same arm that's been hurting all throughout the movies.
Wow.
I didn't even notice that. Keenan, good pull, dude. That's right. He's been having this arm issue the whole movie, throughout, like very little snippets. But
wow, yes, great pull. My goodness, never noticed that.
Wow. And so
they really made that his vision come to fruition.
Yeah,
pretty much. His Age of Ultron vision. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, they really did good at making that
detail.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful in every way. So obviously Tony sacrificed the 2 major deaths out of Endgame. Obviously was Black Widow and Tony Stark, thus ending Robert Downey Jr.'s run through 11 films, 22 films. Well, he's not in all 22, but 11 years worth of cameos and main roles. And if it wasn't for RDJ, I don't think single-handedly Kevin Feige and crew would not have the impact that they've had. RDJ is a phenomenal actor, and we saw that and it was just great fan service what they did in the funeral service and just honoring Tony at the end.
The hill at the funeral.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in spoilers. So,
okay.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
on the sheet. But it's I thought it was really. He left a video message to his daughter and to Pepper Potts, and he ended it. I love you, 3000. My heart. I was done. Yeah. And it was really cool to see, like, in that 10 minutes, that's probably some of the best fan service I've seen throughout all the MCU, where everybody got
Oh.
Not what they want. I mean, everybody got their ending, and it was not a ending of bittersweetness. You know, talking about Natasha, Black Widow, she in that moment found her family. She found her cause, and she found her calling, and she did it. Tony knew what he had to do, and when Doctor Strange held up that hand,
oh yeah,
and he looked at the finger, and it's almost like saying, "You're the one.
Yeah,
you're the one. You have to do it. This is your time. This is it. Do it."
It's on.
When Doctor Strange held that finger up, I got chill bumps.
I knew
it. I knew. I saw the writing on the wall, dude.
He saw the outcome, man. He saw it.
And I've had
14 million of them.
Other people on the internet, they were like, "Why the hell didn't he just tell him?" And I was like, "Because Tony is full of himself. He had the perfect life, and he would back out if he didn't do it in that moment, right that very second."
And Strange told him, "You will know the moment."
Yeah.
And Stark looked at him, and it's just like, "Oh my God!" I get chill bumps just thinking about that. But anyway, so
had to be there.
And then Cap. Let's talk about Cap for a minute.
Oh my God!
They gave all the stones to Cap after all is said and done, and you know we see this sad funeral service, and you know they put this is proof that Tony has a heart. That original thing from Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
Come on. Is that? I mean, it's just like fan service galore. And then as the camera pans, we see Ty Simpkins, Harley Keener. That was the kid that was in Iron Man 3. Lindsay just talked about that earlier. And he was in the movie. The kid from Iron Man 3, grown up now.
Yeah.
But do you think the kid might actually take on the mantle of Iron Man, being as smart as he is?
I mean, he has a suit. I think we'll see him again. I think
is there a kid Iron Man?
There's the Young Avengers.
There's a Young Avengers, yeah.
Maybe he pulls one of those. I don't know.
Very possible.
Very interesting. So
we got to talk about Captain America real quick.
Yeah, we have to talk about Captain America right quick. I have to.
Because his timeline shenanigans really has my mind twisted in a pretzel.
Well,
I really don't even know how to wrap my head around that.
Austin, you want to take us through what happened with Cap?
Yeah. So, oh man, Cap gets the stones and he has to take them back and return them to their proper timelines. That way, it takes away all of these things that they went back and changed in the past, even though it explained that those are now alternate timelines. Those are not part of our timeline because they say the past will not change the future if you change it. So Captain America goes back, he places all the stones, but he doesn't come back. Falcon's freaking out, but I think
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out. But I think the reason Winter Soldier knew, he shakes his head. He's like, I know what he did. There's a hug and there's a conversation, a little bit of a whisper going on between Cap and Bucky before that scene happens. I think Cap told him what he was doing. Cap told him, and that's the reason why they don't share a moment at the end. That's the reason why it's Cap and Falcon, because Cap and Bucky already had their moment. They had their moment, and now Cap knows that he is rewarding Falcon by following him along all of these years, being his right-hand man with the Captain America.
You're right, though. They did shake hands, and Cap said something, and then he walked into the teleporter.
Can I get say goodbye?
Wow.
Now, a lot of people are confused about what Cap actually does. Some people are saying, well, he went back, and he was actually Peggy's husband the whole time, and they're hiding it. The Russo brothers actually came out recently, and I read an article this morning saying that Cap actually created an alternate timeline and figured his way. Exactly. And he figured his way back to this timeline at that exact moment to sit on that bench to tell them what he's been doing, or to not technically tell them, but to show them what he's been doing all of these years. Now, somebody said, well, how do you explain Russo brothers? Where was this timeline? What did he do? And the Russo brothers said this. They said, that's something for Kevin Feige to explore.
I really want to know how he avoids not being Captain America and still get back to that point.
That's a story that's yet to be told yet. Yeah.
Could we see more Cap?
I mean, we could, but how do you guys feel about the choice at the end?
I love it.
Oh, with Peggy?
No, with the Shield.
Oh, it was perfect. Straight out of the comics. Straight out of the comics.
I thought that I thought that there was in the comics it had gone to either one of them.
It did.
It was both.
Yeah, both have had the mantle of Captain America.
I think the reasoning behind Bucky is because Cap and Bucky's always been this team, right? He's always loved Bucky with all of his heart, and Bucky knows that. But like I said, Falcon, he's never really felt that from Captain America. Now he knows that Cap loves him, but he still has this thing in the back of his head like Cap loves Bucky more than me, and that's very obvious because he does anything for the man, right? I think that was Cap's way to show Falcon, you have served with me all of these years. This is my reward.
Wow.
Is this he knows that Bucky can handle this on his own because he's done it before, right? He was the Winter Soldier. Falcon is now, he's not technically a super soldier, but he is a super soldier because he is a great soldier. And I think that's why he has the shield.
And I think, just what we've been talking about for the past 45, 50 minutes, all of this that we're talking about, these are the Easter eggs. These are the fan services that the Russo brothers has dropped in there. All these little nuggets, all these things that's been woven out. And there's one, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but I noticed it on my third viewing this Sunday. There is Howard the Duck in the battle scene.
Somebody said that. I did not see it.
If you watch the scene when Valkyrie charges into battle, right over her left shoulder, you see a little white duck charging with the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy crew.
Awesome.
He was there. Howard the Duck made a cameo.
Oh, my God.
It was really, speaking of cameos, Stan Lee's last cameo.
Yeah.
Nuff said on the bumper, he had a 1970s, what was it, Chevelle, it looked like?
It was one of the classic cars.
Make love, not war. And it's just like, it was just, did you notice, though, it looked like the 70s Stan Lee with the brown hair and the big 70s woof, whatever you want to call that.
Stan in his happy place, man.
Now, who was in the car with him? Was it his wife?
I think it was Joan. I think it was a young version of Joan.
It was, but I was just like, I bet you that's his wife, and that's perfect. That's a perfect send-off.
Yeah, that was just so beautiful. I think, have we covered everything, guys? I mean, the big stuff?
I think we covered the big bullet points
All right.
and kind of cleared up a couple of cloudy spots.
Here's what I'm going to do right quick. We're at one. We have an hour and a half show already. So I'm going to unlock the seats. You guys can come in if you want to share something from your perspective, but we ask you that you be really quick about it because we don't want this to be a 2-hour show. But I will say that, with all the Easter eggs and everything. What?
Like 10-minute limit?
Yeah, something like that. And I will just say that let's keep it clean and definitely keep it clean, but keep it punctual if you can. If you're on Facebook joining us, we're on getvocal.com. That's GETVOKL.com. And we would love to hear from you and everything like that. So we're going to open it up, but we are on a little bit of a time crunch. I don't want this to go too long, but while we're doing that and waiting for somebody, let's do our official review. We'll start with Austin, Lindsay, then myself. Austin, what do you rate it out of a 10?
Out of a 10. You guys know me. I'm always the guy who comes down hard on the movies, and I like to nitpick. And I don't think this is the perfect movie, right? I do have some issues and some nitpicks here and there in time. I don't care. I'm going 10 out of 10. I don't care. It's a 10. It's a 10. Out of 10. It's a 100. Mark it down. See you later. It's a 10.
Badger.
Beautiful. I feel that there's been so much build up to this point, and we finally made it. And it was with the amount of storytelling that they had to do and epicness that they had to cram into a movie, and it still could have gone another hour.
Yep.
And I still would have been excited to watch it. I am going to have to also give it a 10 because there is, though there are flaws in it, you're just going to have to look past them and respect it for what it is.
Right.
It is the grand finale of an epic saga.
And right off of the heels of Miss Lindsay Badger, I have to give it a 10 out of 10 as well. I thought that, ever since it was teased all the way back in the Avengers 1 of Thanos, the story was built up in 2012, and it started when we started seeing these stones coming into play.
Oh.
And it was just fantastic. And I think that the Infinity Stones and everything in the build-up of 22 films across 11 years, I think nobody else in the world could have done this justice other than the Russo brothers. I think their thumbprint on this saga and this franchise is why we're here today doing this review in this saga. I think the
I
Russo
believe
brothers
they
just
announced that they're not doing any more Marvel movies.
that was a fake news. They said they're not doing it for a while.
Well, we cleared that up here then.
They're
I'm so
taking
glad
they're taking a seat for a while to do some other projects, but they're
I
not
like
out of the Marvel Entertainment. They're very.
So,
They actually went on record to say in an interview just 3 days ago that they are very close friends with Kevin Feige, and they are discussing future projects in Phase 4. But we're talking 3 to 4 years down the road. But the Russo brothers aren't out of it.
some chat ratings while we're waiting on somebody to come in if they'd like. Keenan is giving a 9.8, maybe 9.9. It was, and he said it was epic, well balanced, and needed therapy afterwards. And he really wished to see Adam Warlock, but I bet you we're going to see that in Guardians. So I'm not going to be too sad about Adam Warlock not showing up. And then over on Facebook, Jessica Payne said she gave it a 9.5. So I would say,
well done, Jessica.
go watch the dang movie if you haven't seen it. Go watch it twice for good measure.
As we're wrapping up, it's going to be really. We're getting ready to wrap this up, or we're going to close everything down. But we're going to leave the seat open in case you guys want to hop in. Anybody from Facebook Live or Get Vocal, but you're no obligation though. I just think that there's a lot to talk about in this film, and we only just literally nicked the surface of just how dynamic this film was, and just so many nods to pop culture and so many great moments that are just amazing. I mean, there's no other way to say it. And I said it earlier, the Russo brothers single-handedly created something that, well, let me back up. 2007, a guy by the name of Kevin Feige became president and CEO of Marvel Studios Entertainment. And in that, drew up a plan that we had no idea for 10 years would put over a story. I think Kevin Feige, the Russo brothers, and everybody involved at Marvel Entertainment, including Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth, created something so special that it literally rewrote the history books on how stories are told cinematically. Yeah. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think I wrote an article this past week, and every generation has that moment. Like the 60s, it was Woodstock, where all these bands were coming together. In the 70s and 80s, it was watching George Lucas's Star Wars saga live in the theater. I mean, fans were wrapped around buildings and streets. In our generation, I think Avengers Endgame is one of those things that generations can rally around. Not only the father taking the son to the theater, but it's those kind of moments where you're creating a memory and a moment. And I just think it's fantastic. And I think that being a part of a Marvel, whether you're a Marvel fan or not, you have to agree to some extent that it's a pop cultural dynamic. It's a powerhouse, and it's a force to be reckoned with. Black Panther won 3 Academy Awards this year at the Oscars. It just goes, I mean, we're getting, the traction is being done, and I think the new template has been set in how movies are done on the silver screen. So, with all that said, we're going to wrap things up here. Austin, you want to go ahead and lead us out, man?
Yeah, on the Black Panther note, I would not be shocked if Avengers Endgame gets some recognitions at the Oscars as well. Whether that's a nomination for Robert Downey Jr. or Best Picture. We saw Lord of the Rings. It was the culmination. I would die to see that. But I'm Austin Burke at The Burkinator. You guys can search and find me on the YouTubes, making videos all the time. We are part of an amazing network called the Gonna Geek Network. For all things even more geeky, head over to gonageek.com and check out some amazing podcasts on our home network. And you guys can connect with us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, and Pinterest, all at PopXCast. Send us comments and suggestions via email at popxcast@gmail.com. And for future and past shows, visit our official website, www.popxcast.com.
That's right.
Nice.
And I am Lindsay Badger, aka Badges, and you can find me at LR Badger on all the social corners of the interwebs.
The multiverse Badges.
Yes, the social multiverse. Yes.
And I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts all over the interwebs. Of course, hats off to my amazing and wonderful Team PopX. And I want to also stop for a minute and say a huge thank you not only to Team PopX, but all of our amazing listeners and viewers and downloads, people that love PopX. Huge hats off to Get Vocal for allowing us to use their platform to push our episodes and our content out. We want to give a huge shout out to Gisela, Alex Riesenkampf, Alex Duarte, and Lokesh. You guys are fantastic here at Get Vocal, and thank you for being awesome and listening to us, the content creators, because you have created a platform that we all just rally behind. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Austin, Lindsay, you guys, anything else you want to add before we wrap things up?
I want to go see it 3 more times.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Nice.
Go rewatch Game of Thrones after a therapy session.
Oh my God. I need a therapy session for a therapy session because I'm just like, I'm like a 50 Shades of Turnt right now. All right, guys, from all of us here at PopXCast, thanks for listening. Thanks for downloading, and we'll see you on episode 94 in just a couple of weeks. Take care, and you know what? Whatever it takes.
Oh,
yeah.
Whatever it takes.
From everyone at PopXCast, thanks for listening. Please make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PopXCast, and click the follow button to get our live stream notifications. Drop us an email, popxcast@gmail.com. Be sure to check out this and more great content on the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeek.com. Get your geek on!